What's going on, Washington Commanders Nation? It's your boy Rio Robinson, back with the latest and greatest on the Rambling with Rio YouTube channel, where we ramble about the Washington Commanders, who just broke their 20-year streak and got a playoff victory at Raymond James Stadium on Sunday. Got to do my weekly wrap up with my guy, NFL insider Lake Lewis Jr. How are you doing this morning, sir?
What's going on, man? I've been looking forward to this one each week. We what is it, six straight weeks as far as wins.
Oh
So
my goodness.
this Victory Tuesday is taking on a whole new life, man.
I know it's been a minute since we had to black out the background for Misery Tuesday. I hope we keep this thing rolling. 6 straight victories, 5 in which have come in cardiac commander fashion in the final seconds of the game. And as the stakes have risen, me and Lake have been we've been getting better by the week. We hit our first 10,000 view collaboration last week, but I think this one is going to do even more because we're on to the divisional round. They went down to Tampa, handled business 23-20, and our quarterback, Jayden Daniels, he's the talk of the town. He's the talk of the tri-state area. He's the talk of the entire league. Lake, talk to me. What were the initial reactions coming out of this game from the press box?
Man, listen, just the fact that they did what some of us thought they were going to do. You and I both talked about last week on the show that we thought they were winning the football game.
Sure did.
And it was one of those games where you don't win the game if you don't have number 5. It's as simple as that. I mean, the guy pulls a rabbit out of the hat at the right time, and he's patient. He's a guy that doesn't force it. I know this is a different sport, but he eerily reminds me of Michael Jordan as far as how Jordan tried to get everybody involved and, for the first 2-3 quarters of the game. And then the fourth quarter, it was like, the hell with this. It's time for me to just take over. And that's what you saw him do. And forget the whole, is he a rookie, blah, blah, blah. I mean, he's gone through a full NFL season and he's in the playoffs now. So that rookie hat is gone. And I think Washington has a legit chance to cause a lot of problems in Detroit. And I'll give you some reasons for that as we go on into today's show.
Absolutely. We're definitely going to vaguely touch on the Detroit Lions game as we close this one out today. But, Lake, this is the 13th time we've done this season. 13 victories in year one with basketball guys, as the Detroit Lions offensive coordinator called our ownership group. You love to see it. The game plan was executed flawlessly. We knew our offense was better than our defense, and to win this game, you need to keep that Buccaneers offense off the field, an offense that averaged almost 30 points a game, 29 and a half. They touched the ball 7 times in the game, Lake. Baker only got to throw the ball 18 times for 185 yards, and don't get it twisted, he played well.
He's played extremely well, yes.
We kept him off the field, and we didn't punt it. We didn't turn it over. That is a winning formula versus whoever you put on the schedule.
Absolutely. I mean, if you don't turn the football over and your special teams isn't asked to do a whole lot, I mean, you're going to win the football game. And that blueprint of what we've talked about all season long, Rio, was what? If number 5 is the best player on the field on a Sunday, they're winning. If he's the second best player on the field, they have an opportunity to win. And we saw that. I think, when you go back and you watch this game and you see the effectiveness of Baker Mayfield and how huge it was for them to not have the ball. I mean, if he doesn't fumble that ball, who's to say that they don't drive down the field and stretch the lead out that they had? It was 17-13 at that point. So the fact that Baker wasn't on the field, as much as the defense was getting moved on at times, they had most, opportune times to get them off the field, Tampa, and they did. So you kind of have to give credit to the defense as well because, it looked as if Tampa was having their way with them. Mike Evans was having his way with Marshawn Lattimore, and Bucky Irvins was running. But for the most part, the defense kept everything in front of them. And I think that's been their blueprint all year, bend but don't break. So, yeah, it was big stuff, man.
Yeah, we were able to marry the two sides of the ball. Like, as defensively some of those drives looked very easy on Tampa's side, but it's not easy to keep an offense that averages 30 points a game to 10 points a half. Like when you look at it, we held them to 3 points for 29 of the first 30 minutes of the game.
Yeah, I was gonna say pretty much the whole first half,
Mm-hmm.
and into the third quarter. So I mean, they did enough. Obviously, they're
Mm-hmm.
moving on to Detroit, so you can't just say, because I know people have been saying, "Oh man, the defense is terrible. They have no shot." That's not true. That's not true at all.
Not,
They did what they had to do, and I know you. I thought of you when Bobby Wagner got the fumble. Uh, that was a makeup for what didn't happen in Baltimore. You remember
football
that?
gods,
Yeah,
football gods.
absolutely. So it just goes to show that they were on it.
It's nice to see that the football gods, they have us with a reset of karma after Dan has left this organization. There are things that have happened on the football field this year that would have never happened to this team in past years, but I love it. But as we always do, let's start on the offensive side of the ball. And to start on the offensive side of the ball, look no further than Jayden Daniels, 24-35, 268 yards, 2 touchdowns, no picks, 3 for 5 on fourth down, game-winning drive in his first playoff game. I'm ready to talk recklessly about Jayden. I'm ready to say this is the best rookie quarterback ever. I'm ready to say this is the best quarterback in the NFC, and that's no disrespect to some guys like Matthew Stafford. And I'm also ready to say, after you throw the top 4 names on the board, Mahomes, Lamar, Allen, Burrow, Jayden is the first name that is coming off that list once you do a list going into the 2025 season. Like, am I wrong for saying this?
Nah, we've been saying it all year. I mean, and literally last week we talked about it. He's
Mm-hmm.
the fifth best quarterback in the NFL right now. And the only reason you can't put him above those other four is because those guys have had success in the playoffs. And, if you say, well, Lamar hasn't, well, Lamar's 2-time MVP, should be the 3-time MVP if he gets my vote, which I'm
Mm-hmm.
giving him. So Jayden has ascended, but to be able to say a rookie quarterback has jumped over a lot of these other guys, Jalen Hurts, who's been in the Super Bowl, has a chance to
Mm-hmm.
go back. There's no question, and I'll throw the big reason why I'm putting Jayden up there with those other guys. He's doing it with much less. So,
Significantly less.
right, thank you. Significantly less. As far as outside of Terry, there isn't anybody on Washington's skill set positions that other teams would be lining up for. And that's not any disrespect to those guys. It's just a cold fact. And once he does get, all you have to do is do what we say all the time. Take him off Washington and put him on those other 4 gentlemen we just named on their teams, and see what happens.
And it's curtains. And it's curtains. I'm
Right.
looking like Matt Stafford is the only guy I'm willing to have a debate about. He's a Super Bowl winning quarterback. He's going to be a gold jacket guy. I'm looking at the rest of the conference. Jalen Hurts can't do what Jayden Daniels can do. Who are we talking about? Baker Mayfield had a phenomenal 41 touchdown season. Jayden just sent him home in his first playoff game. Sam Darnold is a system journeyman quarterback who someone's going to overpay. You saw what happened to the Vikings last night, like?
Yeah, I mean, like, really, I don't know if anybody's going to overpay after what they saw, because reality struck. The clock struck 12
Mm-hmm.
last night.
Mm-hmm.
It's so much so that I don't even know if he's going to be back in Minnesota next year.
Oh, he shouldn't. It's McCarthy's season up there. And then I move over to a guy like Jordan Love. I know he didn't have any of his receivers versus the Eagles, so you don't give him a fair shot. He's not doing or amassing for a deficiency of talent like Jayden Daniels doing. And the guy we play this weekend, Jared Goff, really good quarterback, limited. There's a cap to his ceiling, and he has everything around him. He has a 2000 all-purpose back with 20 touchdowns. He has a RB2 with 800 yards and 10 touchdowns. He has 2,000-yard receivers. He has a tight end that's almost at 1,000 yards and a very, very opportunistic defense. So when I
Oh,
look
and probably the best line in all of football, offensive
at
line.
and the best offensive line in all of football. So I don't see a quarterback in the conference doing what Jayden Daniels is doing. It's not just the division, it's the conference. And then within the league, after you name those top four elite guys, I'm having a hard time putting anybody over JD5 already.
Yeah, I agree with you 110%. And as I said, I'm just saying, remove those guys off those teams and put them in Washington and switch Jayden on those teams.
Mm-hmm.
If Jayden Daniels was the quarterback in Detroit, I don't think they would have lost a game this year. and
How would you beat that team?
you wouldn't. you wouldn't. So that's what I'm trying to get people to understand, man. And we've been doing this all the way back for rookie mini camp.
Mm-hmm.
You knew what you saw. I knew what I saw. And we talked about it. This guy's different. And now everyone knows. Everyone knows. Everyone around the country knows that Washington is a player now. They're going to be a player for the next decade or more, bar injury or anything catastrophic. This is a playoff football team year in and year out, Super Bowl caliber football team year in and year out once they add a couple wrinkles and add a couple more pieces to the plate. It's there. It's there to be had, and it all starts with number 5. Yes, he's ascended to in my opinion. I'm going to put him at 6 right now in the NFL, and the reason why I say that is because you and me, man, we're on the same wavelength. Matt Stafford's that dude,
Oh,
man.
he's that guy. I love Matt Stafford. He's the only one. He's the only one in the conference, man.
Yep.
I'll give it to you. Yeah.
Yeah. So right now I got Jayden at 6, but guess what? The irony is you got Goff this week. You get past him, you're going to get either Stafford or Hurts. I'm just going to say this: if this team goes on this kind of run, we'll talk about it. If they go on this run and get to the Super Bowl, he's clearly now one of the top 5 talents in the NFL, not quarterbacks, talents.
Mm-hmm. Easy,
Yeah.
easy. But if you didn't know, now you know. If you tuned into the game Saturday or Sunday night, Jayden got right to it. First drive of the game. We don't put no points up, but throws an absolute beauty down the left sideline. You know how we missed that goal ball first time we played the Tampa Bay Buccaneers? They got it right back. Remember, we talked about last week how Terry and Jayden haven't had that deep ball chemistry in quite some time. They got right to it on the first drive of the game. Terry's catching with his hands. We don't convert there, but the offense matriculates the ball down the field the entire game. We didn't have one drive stalled out. Tressway only had to hold for the field goals on Sunday. Every single Washington drive was sustained into Tampa Bay territory. We just went for it twice on 4th down in the red zone. You know what kind of confidence you have to have in a rookie quarterback to pass up on 6 points and still win the game, and you go 3 for 5 on 4th down, man? Jayden is such a baller.
On the road against a division winning team,
Mm-hmm.
back-to-back division winning team, who
Back to
last
back 4
year,
years in a row. 4 years in a row.
yeah. So, and think about it. What did the Buccaneers do last year in their wild card game at home? They dismantled Philadelphia.
Mm-hmm.
So this was one of those games that we both said if you get past whoever wins this game is going to be dangerous going forward. And the fact that Dan Quinn came out, Cliff Kingsbury came out, we said this in last week's show. The first drive, we said you got to go deep. you have to
Mm-hmm.
go deep. You've got to send a signal to Tampa that you're not here, feeling good that you just made the playoffs. No, you came here to win the game. And they came out in attack mode. They came out from the very beginning and did it and established that they were going to be there. Personally, I probably would have kicked at least one of the field goals.
Yeah, I was on my stream like, all right,
Yeah,
take the
I
points,
was
bro.
like, come on, man. You don't leave points off the board on the road in the playoffs. But you know what? As I say, that's why we do what we do. And that's what
Mm-hmm.
Dan Quinn does what he does,
Facts.
and he's had the winning formula. So you can't discount that. But yeah, to put that kind of pressure on a rookie quarterback his first playoff game, not just any playoff game, this was the primetime NFL game of the weekend. I mean, pretty
Mm-hmm.
much. All eyes were on him, and for him to deliver, for everyone to deliver like that. Shout out to Terry, big catches. This has been the formula all year, man. And it's safe to say, I know you thought this, man. When Terry caught that pass on that go route, I know you thought, okay, yeah. Once you see that early,
Mm-hmm.
it settles you, man. It's like
Yep.
we're sitting there like
Okay.
Yeah, okay. They understand now because
Yeah.
we didn't see that in week 1 at all.
Yep, like you can see 23 points on the final score, but we were in their territory every drive of the game and we sustained drives, bro. A 17 play, 9-minute drive. People want to know what the formula to beat a team like Detroit is. Keep that high powered ass offense
Off
off
the
the field.
field.
9 minutes in the second quarter when you get the ball for the second time. It's 23 points, but we left points on the field. That's easily a 30 plus point performance if they either convert or they take field goal. We left 6 on the field, so that's 29 right there. But we're talking about a day where Jayden has to be the leading rusher, and he has to throw for 270 and 2 touchdowns. We got nothing from the running game, and his 36 yards felt like 70 because how selectively he chooses his running lanes. He's converting first downs with it, and he's escaping pressure. I don't think the offensive line played a great game, but when you look at the box score, he was only sacked 1 time for 0 yards. Todd Poles was sending the kitchen sink at him. They were winning up front, but Jayden, using his head and using his legs, was able to escape. And he was looking to throw on the run. And I want to give my flowers to De'Ami Brown. De'Ami Brown legacy game in the wild card round. Two looked like a complete receiver on Sunday night.
He did, man. You know, we all know that Dayami's probably one of, if not the, definitely one of their more athletic offensive talents. You know, and you see them utilizing him that way. He's got some speed. He's got a little bit of wiggle, and he's got a little bit of power too. He'll lower his shoulder as a
Oh, he
receiver.
ran, he ran Buddy over.
Absolutely. So for them to get him, you know, I'm not a big fan of those bubble screens, but you know, it's almost essentially a running play, you know, and that's what they're doing. But they set up the blocks pretty well.
And he's the only one that we have that can run that bubble screen.
He really does. I mean, the old man OG Jameson probably could do it, but
Mm-hmm.
you know, not like he did back in the day, you know. But yeah, Dayami's their guy right now. He's the guy that if you need a little bit of wiggle, you get it to him. And it's working. And you can see his confidence is building as well. Like you could tell during the season, some of his confidence had kind of waned a little bit. He was dropping some
Yep.
passes, but his numbers being called, and he's being called consistently, and they're going to need him to be big this weekend in Detroit.
Hell yeah, man. Diami, 5 for 89 and a touchdown.
You
Man,
know who? You know who I want to shout out though on offense?
who's that?
Austin Eckler.
Yes, sir. We were about to get to him in just a second.
Yeah,
Remember, I said Austin Eckler game coming up.
you sure did. And man, I mean, he was more effective to me than Brian Robinson was. You know, I mean, I know Brian was the setup guy pretty much to set up the next play,
Mhm.
but Austin gave them some juice, man, and he ran hard. I was a little concerned. You know, every time he went down, you held your breath, but
Mhm.
I think he's back, and that's going to be huge for them going forward.
I think his numbers aren't going to jump off the chart, but you had to watch the game to understand the impact. 27 yards on the ground, 26 yards receiving. We needed every single one of them.
Hard.
His catch on the final drive of the game where Jayden threw it right outside of Yaya Diaby, who had to do a pirouette to find Austin Eckler, that set us up in field goal position. And his touches in the backfield were really the only touches that mattered. Brian Robinson had 10 carries for 18 yards, less than 2 yards a carry. It's whatever. I don't know what's going on, but we're not getting anything from our RB1. When your quarterback is leading the team in rushing with 36 yards, that's a bit of a problem.
Yeah, it's just a little bit of, and I don't know. I'm not trying to speak on behalf of Brian, but he sure seems a little indecisive as far as when he gets it. It's always a little dance, a little, look first, and he just needs to go north south. Yeah, I think you can clearly see the difference when Austin gets the ball. You see him literally turn his shoulders and run hard straight upfield. And
Yep.
I think that's what Brian needs to do. Just don't overthink it, man. Just let it go and take what's there. I mean, they had a tough time against that defensive front for Tampa. I mean, you're talking about Vita Vey and all these guys.
Mhm.
and Tampa's coming at you, blitzing, bringing the house sink from all over the
Oh
field.
yeah, all over.
Brandon Coleman struggled. Call it like it is.
Oh my
Left
God.
tackle, he struggled, and
Mm.
so when you have one side of the field it's not happening there. You're kind of shortening a lot of things. So they were going with what worked for them, and unfortunately, it wasn't a whole lot, but it was enough because number 5 and number 17 continue to make magic happen.
Yep. And B Rob did give us 4 catches for 22 yards. He had a couple completions that definitely kept the chains moving for the offense. But even when you get him the ball in space, throwing it to him, like I want those touches to go to Eckler because Eckler's a bowling ball. He's not usually going down on the first tackler, and there's some wiggle to Austin Eckler. You know,
Yeah.
with Brian Robinson, he's a little bit stiff out in space, and unless a hole opens up in parts like the Red Sea, you're not really getting anything from him in the running game. But the push up front, we haven't got a push in the run game for weeks now. And yes, Brandon Coleman was getting beat like a drum. I know he's not 100%, but what is that, 9 sacks he's given up on the season. He is a rookie and he's going to go through rookie growing pains, but there's also a conversation of maybe we could kick him in the guard or kick him to the other side at some point and still have to think about tackle early in the 2025 class. And that's not giving up on the guy because he has had some very good moments this year. But it seems like any type of speed rusher, they got him off the first step every time.
Yeah, I mean, he definitely. I don't want to use the word regressed, but from where he was earlier in the year, where he just looked like, I mean, like the second coming.
Mhm.
He was holding it down, but it was by platooning him and Cornelius Lucas. So I think he wasn't having to play the whole game, and you can tell that you're right. Edge rushers who come around with can dip on him and have spin moves. He struggled with those speed guys. He really has. But the big guys, he's held more than his own. I remember him and TJ Watt and some of the other bigger edge rushers.
Mhm.
He fared well, but against these guys that can come off and dip their shoulders on this guy, he
Guys
struggled.
would bend. Guys would bend. Yep.
Absolutely, guys with Ben, and unfortunately, it's more of those guys than not. You think about their opponent coming up in Detroit, it might fare well for him to have a bigger guy that he's going to have to go up against. But yeah, man, I even at times I was like, maybe they should get this platooning back if Cornelius can get healthy.
Zadarius Smith can bend that corner, so I need Brandon Coleman to be on his P's and Q's this week. And I know someone in the comments are going to be like, Rio, we won the game and they only gave up 1 sack. Why are you complaining? I'm not complaining. I'm pointing out things that need to be.
You
Yeah.
point out the fact, and let's face
Mhm.
it, they only had 1 sack because of number 5.
Yeah, because he was under pressure all night,
Yeah,
especially off his left edge, his blind side. He had to step up, he had to move around, and he had to be creative to keep the chains moving. That's just the power of 5 right there.
it is. It is. I mean, he's the guy that can elude guys like he did Clancy at on that third down conversion at the end of the game that pretty much iced it for him to get the field goal. That's Jayden Daniels, but I like Brandon. I think he is their answer at left tackle. I just think he needs some seasoning and some off season,
Mhm.
conditioning and just get his technique down. But he's proven at times that he could hold it down. So yeah, I don't think it's something to give up on yet. Now, if you're in position when the draft comes and a dog left tackle sitting there,
Mhm.
yeah, you're right. You might have to take him and move Brandon inside. But
Mhm.
if that's not the case, that's not the case. So yeah, I
Mhm.
just think a lot of what we saw was the type of defense that Tampa runs. I mean, they literally come every play at you. Detroit's similar. I mean, they're going to be aggressive, but Detroit, and hopefully we'll talk about this today. But Detroit, they struggle against mobile quarterbacks, and they didn't
They
play.
do.
They didn't play many this year, but I vividly remember last year them playing against one, and they got smoked in Baltimore. So hopefully we'll talk about that.
Oh yeah, and Baker was giving them all hell in the divisional
This
round
year,
last. Yeah.
this
Yeah,
year.
this year, yeah, they beat
Beat
them this
them.
year and almost had them in the divisional round of the playoffs last year.
Yep.
So, hey, 5 is one of the best dual threats in the game. But Andrew Wiley, he didn't have the he down the stretch, like you know what I'm saying. He didn't have the greatest game, but down the stretch,
Mhm.
him and Biotis were kicking ass on that final drive of the game. In crunch time, this team is so locked in. If it almost feels like if Jayden has a chance in the fourth quarter, I like our odds versus anybody.
Oh, I'm gonna say it right now. I'm saying it this week. If it comes down to 2 minutes and Washington's in the football game, Detroit's going home. They're going home. Anybody is going home if Washington has the ball 2 minutes left in the game with a chance to win it. You're going home. That's just what this team believes in. I just wish they could if they could have that energy early, because when
Mhm.
I went back and watched the tape of the game yesterday when I got home, it was, if you don't leave those points off the board early, this game isn't close.
Maybe put the
And I
boys to
really
sleep.
feel that Washington could have won this game. They covered, but they could have won this game by 7 or more points easily
Mhm.
had they just done a couple things here or there. And that's a good sign, man. They still haven't played their best football game. What an opportune time for it to be this Saturday.
It's fun, man, because we're rebuilding, we're finding an identity while also contending. Things that don't go together, but Washington is managing to do it all in its first season together, man. Cliff Kingsbury has this team ready to go. They get in these fourth quarter situations and they make it look like practice. Lake is effortless. They go right down the field. Boom, 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 boom. And on fourth down, we're the best fourth down team in the league with a rookie quarterback, man.
Do you, do you do you remember, Rio, like, for training camp when we were coming on, and I kept telling you they're starting practice, man, in 2 minute drills. Like, they do this. That's how they start their
Mhm.
practice.
Okay.
2 minutes. That's how they're ending practice. This is how it was in camp, and I noticed the same thing now. This is the proof is in the pudding, man.
Mhm.
That's why this team is so efficient down the stretch, because they've practiced this all year long. Hell, the Hail Mary against Chicago, they practiced that stuff. So you can see the things that in years past that was not being practiced, and they
Mhm.
looked like they had no clue what they were doing when they were put in them situations. This year, they thrive on that, and it almost seems like they look better when they're under the gun. When the pressure's on, that's when they look better.
Mhm. I love it, man. Cliff DQ, and these boys clearly have them prepared for any situation because we don't waver in crunch time. DQ hugged Cliff after the game and said, "Stay here, kid. Stay here, kid. I need another year, Cliff, with 5, man."
You know what? The more they win, if they go into Detroit and get one, you're gonna hear Cliff's name being called an awful lot. Um, I'm pretty confident that he's not going anywhere. I truly believe that. This guy
I
knows what he
so.
has. Number
Mhm.
5 knows that there's something special here, and he also can look across the field this Saturday and look at Ben Johnson and look at how he's waited and waited till he finds his perfect fit, his
Mhm.
perfect niche. And that's irony too. There's karma for people who do certain things, and I'm just saying, man,
Oh, it's always.
for that plane to turn around midair, because no, we're not keeping Sam Howell for you to be your quarterback. That's what that was about. Yeah. So now, it's kind of ironic that you could send somebody home that didn't, that scoffed at you. Like you said, these
Yep.
basketball dudes, you can send some people home, break their dream.
Yep, it's gonna be fun to talk about that one. It is definitely revenge week because we were quite enamored with the idea of Ben Johnson being the coach. But before we get to that, let's talk about the defensive side of the ball because they did their thing too. They kept Detroit. They kept Tampa Bay the 20 points on the day. They only let Baker Mayfield and that Tampa Bay offense possessed the ball 7 times. We won time of possession 35-26 to 24-34. They only had the ball for 24 minutes in the game. Baker only threw it 18 times, and he was actually effective. How did you feel Washington's defense showed up for him on Sunday night?
It was an opportunistic defense. It was a defense that was bending, but they weren't breaking, and that's
Mhm.
that seemed like Joe Witt just decided that's going to be our blueprint because they've been doing that a lot over the past 6 games during this win streak. They've been getting moved on, in between the 20s, and then they batten down the hatches, when it counts. And it seemed like that's what was happening in this game. Kudos to the offense, obviously, for keeping them fresh and not having to be on the field a lot. But for the most part, the defense did what they were supposed to do. They were getting pressure on Baker at times. This was probably one of their better pass rush games, from Dorrance Armstrong, who was making some plays. Dante Fowler was creating some havoc at times.
Mhm.
They weren't necessarily getting to Baker the whole
They
time,
weren't. They were not.
but right. But they were making a little bit of a presence be felt. They were keeping everything in front of them, and but Tampa, when they did have the ball, they were effective. But I just think that we know what the deal is that this defense is not. From a sheer talent standpoint, it might be 4 or 5 guys that you can honestly say you can continue to build with, but they're going to have to shore up some things. Deron Payne, John Allen in the middle of the field. I mean, that's where teams run the football right into the
Yep.
teeth of this defense.
Right to the
Johnny
heart.
Newton made some plays, but you can see at times that Johnny Newton, isn't a four technique guy. I mean, he's a smaller size tackle that does his best going east and west because he's fast and quick
Sideline
of
to
foot.
sideline. Yep.
Absolutely. So a lot of the deficiencies that we see week in and week out on this defense, they were front and center on Saturday night. But again, when you hold a team that's averaging over 30 points to 20 points in their building in a playoff game, you do have to tip your hat to that. Somehow, some way, they got the job done and they created a turnover.
Oh my God. They recovered
They
a fumble.
covered a turnover.
You know what I'm saying? Bobby Wagner, my hero, because I said one turnover is all I need from this team. Because asking them to turn it over more than once, that's a lot to ask of this defense right now. We just don't have the horses. Thank you, Bobby Wagner. And what a game Bobby Wagner had. Let the team in tackle, flied around all day. He was laying the wood. Boy, he's found the fountain of youth here in DC.
Man, that guy. What can you say about him? And it just goes back again. It goes back to minicamp. Interviewing him, talking to him, and I was blown away, man. Just with how humble and how just a normal dude, man.
Mhm.
Not you talking a Hall of Fame middle line.
Legend.
You would
Legend.
think that that's a guy you couldn't stand there because he probably just be too intense. He's
Mhm.
the total opposite. He
Yep.
California cool, just like Jayden. I mean, it's just
Mhm.
a breath of fresh air, and that kind of professionalism, it's rubbed off on people. You see how he conducts himself on and off the field. Hell, the man's getting his master's at Howard now. You see, how he studies film and how he's helping younger guys look at film. Those things go so far. And for them in the biggest spotlight of this magical season, for them to have their three dogs, all of them make big plays. Terry scoring
Mhm.
touchdowns,
Yeah.
Aiden leading you down for game-winning field goals and showing why he's the guy. And then for Bobby Wagner to be getting a critical fumble recovery from
It
Baker
saved us.
Mayfield
It saved us.
saved their season, and they
Mhm.
kept this thing going. And to see all three of those guys on the field at the end of the game, man, getting love nationally, it was just great, man. You couldn't ask for three better human beings to get some love, man. So keep giving it to them, guys. I mean, just everybody keep giving them love because they deserve it.
Yep, give them their flowers while they're here to see it. That's why they're on the thumbnail this week. I got Jayden and Terry behind me. I got Bobby Wagner behind you. I'm giving love to them because that fumble recovery saved this team. We had just got a four and out on the goal line, down 17-13, trying to take the lead. And that fumble, Baker Mayfield had a messed up exchange to Jalen McMillan on a jet sweep, and the football gods just kind of knocked the ball out of his hands, and it went straight to Bobby Wagner. It was like the football gods gave us a second chance because it was clear PI on Zach Ertz on 4th and goal. They were like, nope, no, you don't. This is the playoffs. We're going to even this out real quick.
Oh man, I didn't even want to bring that up because I was livid. I mean, there's no, I mean, and the line judge is right there, like literally right there. How do you not call that? I mean, I understand that was some home cooking there, but those are the type of non-calls that could cost a team a game. And there is no tomorrow, so you can't have that. But yeah, that play by Bobby was it saved the season. And Jalen McMillan didn't have the type of game that I thought he was going to have. The impact in the game was minimal.
Mikey.
Yeah, well, because Mikey was, whoo-wee.
It was running when Mikey was doing his thing.
That looked like vintage Mike Evans. That's, the guy's a Hall of Famer, man. He's a first ballot Hall of Famer. He should be. And you saw why. I mean, we were definitely about to transition to Marshawn Lattimore
because our fans, our impatient ass man, they're ready to throw that boy away right now.
No. Listen. I've always said this. First of all, like we said, Mike Evans, Hall of Fame wide receiver. Marshawn Lattimore was with him. Even though Mike Evans made some tough catches, man. Mike Evans beat him a lot of times, but he
was open.
Yeah, but it was the play calling too. They were using a lot of slants with Mike Evans, with picks and things like that. Knowing Washington, what do they struggle at on the back end? The communication aspect. They've been doing it all year. So brilliant play calling by Tampa to get Mike Evans those looks. But the thing that I'm telling you guys is, I walk away with this feeling even better about Marshawn because the hamstring didn't flare up.
Yeah, he made it through the game. That was the most important thing.
He was rusty. There's no doubt about it. He was rusty. And he was rusty going up against a Hall of Famer. So this week, I expect to see much better from him. And so I'm encouraged, man. I know he got beat, but one thing I do know about Marshawn, he's competitive as hell. You don't think that his fire's raging right now after the performance that he had? It fares well for you if you're a Washington fan. Don't throw that guy under the bus because he's going to be here for a long time.
Yeah, he hasn't even played a handful of games. He doesn't know his teammates yet. Teammates yet. Joe Witt hasn't had enough snaps yet to fully utilize it. Yes, he was getting caught on. Like Mike Evans. Evans was beating.
Mike Evans had his leg up on him. He did. It was fire hydrant drill. It was.
Oh yeah. And it doesn't help that we put our corners 10 yards off the ball, so we're giving the wide receiver a head start to where he's trying to go.
They got to stop that, man. I'm like, if you're gonna get beat trying. Don't you can't keep conceding these 5-yard outs every time and just going up and down the field with that. When they bring pressure, when they bring guys up to the line of scrimmage, it looks like something good can happen from this. And they just have to do it. You got to go out on your shield, man. You can't go lay back, and especially this week, because Amon St. Brown will eat them alive.
Oh, he's an aggressive receiver, man. He will tear us up if we start putting corners at the 10. We're putting corners 8 yards off the ball and then backpedaling to start the play. Like you're giving them you're spotting them a first down.
Yeah, and then with Williams and that kind of speed, I mean, come on, man. And he's got wiggle, too. So you're going to have to come up, Laporta, all of them. You can't lay off and play this zone defense. I can't take it anymore. They got to be more aggressive here.
Yeah, Mike Evans got his, but I'm not willing to throw away. People are always a waste of trade. We wasted draft pick. Like, give him some time. I think the most important takeaway is that the hamstring survived the beating. It survived the beating. Mike Evans won the battle. We won the war. Marshawn Lattimore will be out there fully healthy next week. He's good to go. He's clearly not healthy. No, I'm not saying that. Like, I think he was healthy enough to play. He made it through the game, but he lost the matchup, and that happens sometimes.
And he made it through a physical game against a physical specimen. So come on, folks. Like, you can't throw somebody under the bus. You weren't throwing Jayden under the bus from that Dallas performance, and that's
Mhm.
why they took him
Yeah,
out. So
yeah,
come
yeah.
on, man. Sometimes you have those games, but they live to fight another day. And when they're in Philly, in a week or so, and he's locking up AJ Brown or going up against AJ Brown, you're gonna feel more, happy. Did I just let the cat out the bag by saying that though?
Yeah, going up to Philly. Look at you.
Oh,
I
yeah.
see where you.
Okay. So
I see where you're going there, man. I see where you're going. I like it. I see what you're cooking.
yeah, man. So when this guy's going to be needed against these physical receivers, don't say, "Oh, it was a wasted pick." You're crazy. That guy's a hell of a corner. He's one of the top 5 corners in all of football, when healthy. And so a full off season for this guy and learning the system even more. He's going to be a dog next year. He's going to be valuable this year in this playoff run.
He sure will. But Mikey Sanders still, he definitely held it down versus Jalen McMillan in the
Sure.
slot and on the other side. He balled out on Sunday. We haven't had one of those Frankie Louvu performances in a while. Everything cool with Frankie, or our teams kind of figuring out what how we're using it?
Yeah, I think teams are starting to figure out where he is on the field and
He's been in coverage a lot recently.
well,
So
he has. I was just about to say, you just took the words out of my mouth. A lot of
mhm,
teams are intentionally lining up their tight ends over by him, because we all know that he's a thumper and he's aggressive. And you notice, the interception that came a week ago, and yeah, I mean he's in coverage quite a bit, and so again. They're
mhm.
going to have to find a way, meaning Joe Witt and Dan Quinn, they're going to have to find a way to move him around as well and get him back in that micro role where he can, rush the quarterback at times too, because you need these guys to make plays. And let's face it, it's probably not going to happen this week, and it probably wouldn't happen the week after because if you win this week, you have Laporta this week. If you win this week, then you're going to have either Higbee from the Rams or Goddard, who's back and looked great the other day in Philly. So yeah, they're going to have to be creative with him to free him up.
Yeah, Higby. I think Higby is Higby straight. I know he got hurt last night in the Vikings game. I hope he's good. By
He
the
did.
way,
I think he might be okay.
I don't know. We might have to unleash Luvu, man, because Golf is
Gotcha.
like one of the only not mobile quarterbacks left in the playoffs, and we gotta be on his ass this week. We gotta close them gaps up, and we need pressure from the interior. If we could make the pocket have to move with a slow quarterback, that would do wonders for us. How do you think Jonathan Allen and Payne fared on Sunday night?
Uh, I give him a C.
Mhm.
They just for me, I just expect more from those guys because of the money that they've been paid. And the fact that both of them have had Pro Bowl years. You don't need them to be good. I mean, they're supposed to be good every week. You need them to be Pro Bowl good. You need them to be great. And it just hasn't happened. It just hasn't. I mean, teams are running the ball right into the teeth of those guys. And I know there's a little bit of rush with John because there are times I see him getting moved backwards, but you just can't have it. Not at this stage. And you can't make excuses for anyone anymore. You just can't. This team is winning games. They're doing well. Terry's answered the bell. Jayden's answered the bell. Zach Ertz has been answering the bell. You
Mhm.
you 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 can't say so someone else over there or Frankie, for instance. You need Frankie to play up. He's got to do what he's been doing all year
Yep.
at this time of the year. So it's not throwing anybody under the bus. These guys are all great players, but we need them to be that on Saturday in Detroit.
Definitely. And I'm tired of grading John Allen and Payne off activity. We don't pay them a
No.
total of about 46, $47 million a year for activity. You got to be impact players or we can replace that, but that's a conversation for another day. Defense did what it needed to do to match what the offense was putting out. Washington went on the road and got their first playoff win in 2 decades. How about that? Rookie GM, rookie coach, all these new players in the first year win 12 games and win a playoff game. And the season's not over yet because the world thinks we're getting our boots smoked this Saturday night in Detroit. But I have other ideas about Sunday. How are you feeling going into the divisional round, Lake?
I feel good, man. I feel really good, and it's not the old cliche that they don't have anything to play for. I mean, it's house money. Yeah, it is. It's all of the
Mhm.
above. But nah, this team actually feels like they're capable of winning the football game.
Mhm.
And over the last 2 days since the game, I've been thinking and thinking and thinking, like, give me reasons, Washington. Give me reasons why I think you can win this football game. And then when I went down and broke down some things, I feel very good that they can win the football game. That's how good I feel.
Yeah, I'm looking at it and I love what Detroit is building. I would like to mirror what Detroit is building because it's been done the right way. They find Brad Holmes to add to Dan Campbell. They didn't give up on Dan Campbell after a 3-win first season. The next season, they start 1-6 and rally to 9 wins. They don't make the playoffs for the first 2 years, but they stuck with him because his grit and how he rallies a team. Dan Campbell makes me want to run through a wall, and I'm not a Lions fan, so
Oh
I
yeah.
get it. I get it. I get why they love Motor City Dan Campbell. I get it all. MCDC, all that good stuff. Then they have a really good season last year. Should have been in the Super Bowl, but they got too aggressive in the NFC Championship. And this year, they've been the best team in the entire league. Well, the Chiefs are the Chiefs, but Detroit has put together more quality football this season than any team in the league. So I get the 8.5 point thing and the high 55.5 point spread because both teams can put some points up. But I don't think this is as David and Goliath as people are making it.
No, absolutely not. And again, excuse me, when you have number five, again, we keep saying that you have an opportunity, and
Mm-hmm.
and the other 52 guys in that locker room know that if number five is just remotely good, he's going to be the second best player on the field. If he's the best player, they're winning the football game. And again, for the life of me, Detroit struggles against mobile quarterbacks. They have in the past. They did this year with Baker. It's everything. This game to me can be similar to when Tampa went into Detroit this year and beat them. That's the blueprint that's going to have to be there. I don't see this getting over 55 points, by the way. I don't. I think this is going to be a defensive war. And people are like, but you guys just killed the defense. It's the bend but don't break thing. But the one thing that Washington will have in their favor in this game, they're going to have a statue as a quarterback in the pocket.
Mm-hmm.
And
They are.
you go back and look at the teams this year that Washington's defense has had its best games against. It was some guys that stood there in the pocket. And this is an opportunity for Washington to really, if I'm Joe Witt, you're going to have to blitz this guy. You cannot let him sit back there behind that massive offensive line and be comfortable. You're going to have to bring some pressure, and you're going to have to pick your poison here. Are you going to be able to stop Gibbs and Montgomery? Probably not, because that's what they do.
Oh,
But you
Jameer
can't,
Gibbs is so good.
right, it's incredible what they do. But you can't let Jared Goff join the party. You can't let him join the party with his arm. So you got to take that away from them and then take your chances. Because let's face it, the more you run the football, if you're Detroit, let's just say Detroit does run for over 120, 30 yards. That means the clock is moving as well, which means there's not a lot of points being put up on the board. So if you're Washington, you're going to have your opportunities. And I think this game, from a style standpoint, it actually sets up better for Washington to be in Detroit this week than had they had to be in Philadelphia this week.
But I don't know. I think people gonna score. I think some points gonna get scored in this game. I think both teams gonna put some points up in this game, and I hope it's a matter of Washington gets the ball last. I'm not gonna give out a score prediction or nothing just yet because it's Tuesday, but I like our chances in this one, man. I love what Detroit has done last year and this year and what they've built over these 4 years with Dan Campbell. But respectfully, they haven't done anything yet. They haven't accomplished anything. They haven't punched the ticket to a Super Bowl yet. And they just got on the good foot last year. Like, pump
And
the
they got
brakes a little bit.
to get there for the first
Mm-hmm.
time ever.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, think about it, Rio. When you have that kind of pressure, You're
Mhm.
supposed to drug Washington this
Yeah.
weekend. You're supposed to, but you don't think in the back of their mind they're thinking, you know, this is a team that they probably had no idea that they would ever be playing. Like literally, they probably thought they were going to have to get ready for Tampa again.
Dan Campbell told Kevin O'Connell 2 weeks ago, "See you in 2 weeks."
He sure did. He sure did. So that's what I'm saying, man. They had no idea that they were going to be playing Jayden Daniels in Washington. And now they're probably looking at the film and thinking, damn, like, what does this team do really well? Like, what is it that this offense is great at? Not too many things, but you know what they are great at? Beating you in the fourth quarter.
The
And
clutch.
you let this team hang around with you in Detroit. Detroit's going home. I'm telling you, if this game comes down, if we're in the 5-minute mark and Washington's within 3 points, I promise you Washington wins that football game.
Yeah, man. Our superpower is we have a quarterback that will keep your offense off the field. We have a quarterback that we've seen 3 times in his rookie season, including the playoffs, have games where he doesn't turn it over and doesn't punt. Him and Peyton are the only people to ever have 3 games where they don't punt or don't turn the ball over. This is a rookie quarterback, man. We have the most efficient and the most mature rookie quarterback the league has seen. We gotta have something. Somebody gotta let folks know this offensive coordinator disrespected us. Like there's a level of decorum that is
Totally.
required when you date somebody to maintain relationships or in the interview process, a job interview process. If I'm going to interview for a job, if I don't want that job, there needs to be some type of like it's like the 2 week notice. You need to let folks know about your departure. He left us on red with the plane in the air and let the world know before they let us know that he was not interested in interviewing for the position here, and then put out little snarky statements about basketball guys whatsoever. I took that personally. I know somebody else has. You know who should take that personally? Adam Peters, because he's not a basketball guy. He's one of the most sought after executives in the league. And you're not even going to sit down and break bread with me for the position. Somebody's got to be mad about that.
So, I don't know if it's been talked about publicly, but the story that I got, what happened was they were en route. Adam Peters and them were en route to Detroit for the interview.
Mm-hmm.
In conversation with Ben Johnson, it was brought up that Ben Johnson still wanted Sam Howell. That's who he
Really?
wanted to be his quarterback for his offense. And there's Carolina connections, all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And Adam Peters was like, no, because they know who they're going to draft, and we all knew who they were going to draft, and he didn't want him. So if anybody should be upset, it should be Jayden. So what I'm saying is, and kudos to Adam Peters for holding his guns and saying, no, we know who we're drafting, and that's who you're going to have to build with. And that's the story that I got. So
Ben
it was Adam
Johnson wanted to roll with
Peters.
Sam Howell.
Yeah, it was Adam Peters that said turn that plane around. Yeah, man. Yeah, it was Adam Peters said no. That's so we agree to disagree, and I wish you well. Turn this thing around. So yeah.
Mm.
So
That is it. I definitely didn't get that part of it.
yeah,
I know,
those
you
are
got to
things that
try to
I hear.
win the breakup and win the divorce in public senses when you're in a public forum. So we started shooting back with well, actually, we didn't think this guy had head coach leadership qualities.
No.
We don't think
Washington was
that
going to
guy.
give him the job. That's what I was told.
Oh,
They were
yeah.
going to give him the job, but it was you're going to have to do what Dan Quinn is doing right now. You're going to have to work cohesively together to put this thing together. Not it's going to be my way, my way, my way, my way, my way. No, because you're not the talent evaluator. It's Adam Peters. And that's what a GM does. So again, this game to me has some other underlining things. And I think that it would be poetic justice, and karma's a what. It would literally be poetic justice to send that man on his way. Detroit not have this dream season and get to the Super Bowl for the first time ever. And I would feel bad for those fans because they're a great fan base. They really are. But you got a starving fan base here that deserves it even more, if you ask me, because we're used to these things. They're not. So, yeah, to send him on his way and for him to, possibly push him into Dallas. I don't know. I'm just saying some stuff like that. This is just going to be interesting, man. I cannot wait for this
No.
football.
I love a little bit of revenge, having a little hate in your heart, man. It makes football, it makes sports better when there's something on the line. Somebody had to have taken that personally, man. But we got to it. We did what we needed to do. And I'm sure he's not regretting his decision because they are doing wonderful things and he's still the belle of the ball this coaching cycle. But that doesn't leave the back of my mind. And I would love nothing more but to humble Ben Johnson and the Detroit Lions. Their fans, I wouldn't feel bad for them because, wow, I'm happy for their success. They're looking at us like we don't belong on the same football field with them. I've already been getting Lions fans in my chats and in my comments like, bro, we're already buying our tickets for the NFC Championship. Like, we are not concerned about Jayden Daniels and that weak ass roster in Washington. I'm like, okay, be careful what you wish for because this boy gets busy and y'all are going to have to see him for the next decade plus.
We've heard that 13 times already. 13 times.
I've heard
13
the Bears
games.
fans say it. I've heard the Cardinals fans say it.
I mean, I heard Buccaneers fans saying it this past week. I saw a little meme where a Cowboys fan was saying, "Y'all gonna be sitting here on the couch with us in 2 weeks, so it don't matter." Well, that's not happening. That hasn't happened. And whether they win, lose, or draw, the point you're obviously not drawing the playoffs, but win or lose, how can you not be excited for this bunch? How can you not be excited
Right.
for Washington right now? I mean, if you are an NFC East, fan, if you're an NFC East, fan of the Giants or the Eagles or the Cowboys, you should be happy for another team in your division to get this thing going again. And I just think that the reason why there are people that are showing more hate now towards Jayden in Washington is because you're younger, my friend. You don't remember those days. But there was a time when the Eagles were just irrelevant.
Mm-hmm.
There was a time when, everything came through the NFC East as far as who's winning the Super Bowl. It was either one of the teams out of the NFC East or maybe the 49ers. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it appears to me that for the foreseeable future, Washington's going to be banging with Philadelphia,
Yeah.
legitimately,
Mm-hmm.
and there's some people that don't like that because they know it's the truth. And Washington has them one. Washington has the best quarterback in the division, and people don't want to give them that. Sorry, that's just what it is.
Yeah, I would hate it too. They see that we have the guy. We have the guy in the building now, and he's not going nowhere. Lions fans, I respect y'all. I can't wait for Saturday night, but understand y'all haven't been there before. I haven't seen this team go to the mountaintop before. Neither have you. You've never seen your team in a Super Bowl game. I've never seen my team in a Super Bowl game. So relax. Y'all haven't done it yet, and y'all are going to hit your first adversity when this next season gets here because y'all might be losing Aaron Glenn and Ben Johnson. So we're going to see just how good that grit of the Detroit Lions is once your offensive coordinator and your defensive coordinator get plucked. But last thing I got for you on your way out the door, I know it's a short week and you got to get out the practice. No, two things. First one, what is KJ Osborne's purpose on this team? Because
Bro,
because
I told myself, is he even going to bring this up? You waited to the last 2 minutes to bring it up. Hey, man.
Hey, Chris Moore just got here Thursday and he was in uniform, and KJ Osborne's a healthy scratch. What is KJ Osborne's purpose here?
I mean, practice guy right now. I mean, I mean, I even thought to myself, could Noah even come back? You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't get it. Because I was expecting for this guy, the first week they got him, I was expecting for him to be suited and lining up, maybe even start. And they've got nothing for him,
Is
But
he healthy?
I don't see anything that tells me he's not. I mean, he's not limping around out there. I don't see anything that tells me this guy not ready. I don't, and he's a sharp dude too. You know, articulate dude.
Mhm.
Blah blah blah. I just don't get it. But I think, you know, with Dayami playing the way he's playing right now,
OZ.
OC, I just feel like they feel like they're comfortable with what they have right now. And those guys know the system in and out. Yeah, but I mean, it just hasn't happened.
I told fans to not have expectations for this dude, but to
You
not
did.
see
I
him,
was wrong on that because I damn sure did. I was like, oh, he's gonna come in and go right in where Noah came out.
it was like, I mean, if
Did not
at
happen.
most I expected him to at least be Noah Brown, bro. This is the second weak receiver room he's been in this season, and he can't get on the
And get
field.
on the field.
Chris Moore just got here. I don't even think he knows the offense yet. He was suited up and getting snaps on Sunday.
That's what I'm saying. When I saw that, I was like, yeah, if he's hurt, they haven't let on. You know, and they've done a really good job all year about not saying
Close to the vest.
yeah, you know what's going on because you know Dan Quinn, I can tell his coaching style is to his gamesmanship stuff like that. But I don't think Detroit's setting their game plan up around KJ, so don't worry about that.
All right, I had to get that one in, you know, because I had a finale question, but I was like, let me ask him about KJ one more time. Get there. But are we doing this again next week and talking about championship week football? Like, what you think? You don't gotta give me a score yet. It's Tuesday, but what you thinking, man?
Yes.
Let's go. You've been Nostradamus. You damn near had to score. What'd you say, 23-21 last week?
23-21. I said it was 23-21, and Gonzalez would win it on a game-winning field goal, and it was there. So, bro, we had a couple sound bites from that show that you know, we could put out there. I don't want to hit
Prophetic.
too hard with receipts, but at the end of the
Mhm.
day, yeah, to answer your question, I think we will be having this show next week as a victory, not a loss. And I know it sounds crazy. I know people think I'm drinking the Kool-Aid. I did a brief pod yesterday, and I kind of gave some reasons why I think it could work for Washington. I truly believe that, and we talked about it a little bit today. Statuesque quarterback, man, it gives you hope to go up against a guy like that, and he hasn't had that game yet where he hasn't looked like himself. He hasn't had a Sam Darnold type game yet, and Washington's defense is due for a better performance somewhere, somehow.
Yep, and he's a system predicated very good quarterback, but he pokes his head out there sometimes. I remember the Houston game they won this year where he threw 5 picks, you know. But Houston catches everything, by the way. If you watch them in the first
Oh
round,
no, that
they're
corner
sick.
ridiculous.
And
Stingley,
they're secondary. The whole secondary, everybody got 3 to 5 picks in that secondary. But I love it. Lakers predicting a Washington victory this week. Boy, we win this one. We might have to do 2 hours next week because
hey
championship
man,
weekend.
you tell me. We win. Yeah, we can do a live all day show. I don't care. You let me know, man. You
Hey,
let me know.
we can give them a little peek of a radio show because you know we could do one of those over here, man.
Well, you know, listen, man, you know, and I do want to say this first and foremost. Appreciate you for asking me to come on and do this with you on Tuesdays. You know, I wouldn't have done this with anybody else because it's our day off. But
Mm-hmm.
this has been fun, man. So, I mean, really fun. And yeah, you know, my background is radio before. So I'd love to do this, man. You know, and I think the fans have been asking for it. What we need y'all to do is we need y'all to call those local radio stations and tell them two best guys in town need to be on the air with you. But we know what those things are about. So yeah.
It's all good, man. But the folks know real recognize real. And I appreciate the love y'all have shown us all season with these Tuesdays.